In 1941, production company RKO Pictures released the film Citizen Kane. In many ways, it is considered the turning point for modern cinema. Director, writer, and star Orson Welles worked with his team to invent so many camera angles and construct compelling imagery to sell the tragic story of Charles Foster Kane. Its cinematic achievements have proven so effective that they have been incorporated into other movies. It's one of the most influential films of all time, and some would say, the greatest film of all time. However, since it has historically been placed on a pedestal as the greatest movie of all time, it has been used as a measuring tool by which to judge the worst movies of all time. If there is a greatest movie, there is also a worst movie. Birdemic is the Citizen Kane of bad movies. Manos, the Hands of Fate, is the Citizen Kane of bad movies. The Room is the Citizen Kane of bad movies. Today, I'm here to challenge that metric, because Citizen Kane is not the greatest movie of all time. 2021's Dragon Lizard Lord Super Monsters is.
Like a wrecking ball, an unstoppable horde.
Because a claim like the greatest movie of all time is an incredibly subjective term, so statistically speaking, this is someone's favorite movie.
Two dragons are destroying all the buildings in the world. This is our last broadcast if you want to survive. Embrace Mother Nature.
Dragon Lizard Lord Super Monsters is, in truth, an edited-together collection of Godzilla fan films directed and starring Dragon King Chaos Omar Saya, who also built all the suits himself. Astounding beyond belief, a Mutual and Wikizilla writer, has helped me with this video by tracking down early issues of G-Fan to confirm that Saya has released shorts in the past and, based on description, they match what happens in portions of the movie. It also helps date these shorts to the late 90s. I went to G-Fest this year and, to further confirm this, Omar himself unexpectedly showed up at the screening of Dragon Lizard Lords and said it himself.
There were a bunch of shorts, and then kind of in the light of Gamera Super Monster, where they took all the Gamera movies and put them into one Super Monster film. That's kind of how we got Dragon Lizard Lord Super Monster.
This is the first time I have ever heard anyone refer to Gamera Super Monster as an inspiration. It received an ironic Blu-ray release from the crazy people over at SRS Cinema, and it came with a pretty sick poster that ironically renders all the monsters in the film as much cooler looking creatures. I've actually got it displayed in my room, it's pretty cool. So what is the plot of Dragon Lizard Lord Super Monsters, which I will be referring to as just Dragon Lizard Lords from now? Unfortunately, in the transition to a feature-length film, the plots of the original fan films have been swallowed up and regurgitated into a nonsensical string of events with intentionally bad ADR and sound design, which makes following this nightmare all the more confusing.
Rehog will become the new Tiamat, and the power of the Quetzalcoatl will be given to the Thralls through dark radiation.
As far as I can tell, there are dragons whose names have been changed to avoid the all-seeing eye of Toho Co. Ltd., and they're fighting to become the Supreme Ultra Dragons. One dragon named Tiamat, Godzilla, is proving to be a worthy candidate and is the main dragon of the film. And aliens eventually get involved and send their greatest monster at the end of the film, Bagan, or Zieron Nidhogg, as he's called. By some cruel twist of fate, this is Bagan's cinematic debut. If you don't know who Bagan is, he's a monster who's been repeatedly considered for a Godzilla movie, but every single one has been canned or reworked into something else. I'm sure Tomoyuki Tanaka would have been proud.
I am Nidhogg, the Tyrant Dragon. I will become a new fresh portal of darkness.
There's also a subplot about dragon cults fighting each other, and yeah, I don't know what's going on there either.
Hail Omega Tiamat! The dragon has risen!
I've seen this movie twice and I still couldn't tell you.
The Earth forces will be broken if they defy the Dragon Lizard Lords.
There was a fight with a red dragon named Quetzalcoatl early on, which is the portion of the fan film Godzilla vs. Dracos, and the fight with Bagan at the end is from Godzilla vs. Bagan, War of the Super Monsters, which also explains why these characters suddenly show up. Ghidorah, named Fafnir, and Godzilla Jr., named Baby Tiamat, are here too. It wasn't clear on the first viewing because the picture quality was so bad, but even Jet Jaguar makes an appearance at the end of the movie. He has a lightsaber.
Oh Lord, look at that flying robot!
The explanation in the film behind Godzilla suddenly getting absurdly fat is that he has gone supercharged from Quetzalcoatl's flames.
Omega Tiamat has returned as the Dragon Lizard Lord's supercharged god Omega Tiamat.
And he is then able to use his atomic breath. There's also the concept of dragon angels and how humans loyal to dragons can become them.
I have been helping King Draco destroy the universe for millions of years, and King Dracos has made me immortal.
There are subtitles for dialogue that was originally written for the short films that sometimes pops up.
We are the alien minions of the Hydra Fafnir. You must be an agent of Tiamat. I am the king!
There are plenty of shots dedicated to teenagers epically strutting to their next destination. There's this epic sword fight towards the third quarter mark of the film.
Fool, you will never be the dragon's #1 guy! I am!
The writing is word salad and does not match what's on screen.
If we can stop Omar from becoming the vanguard of Dragon Order, then we will be the first to reach the reign of Nidal.
Whoops, looks like they forgot to leave this mention of Godzilla out. I can't read what any of this says, but I suspect it's a local newspaper reporting on Omar's fan films. Pretty surreal. Whenever I show footage from this movie, keep in mind that I have to lower the volume by 15 levels, because the audio track is an overblown cacophony. Random punch sounds are copied and pasted everywhere.
The armored dragons are attacking the city.
Even entire lines of dialogue are lifted from earlier scenes, presumably because they've stopped caring about the plot making any amount of sense.
What's going on with the boats? We found Omega Tiamat in the ocean. What's going on with the boats? We found Omega Tiamat in the ocean.
I can kinda follow it for the first half, but they really did stop giving a shit about the audio production at a certain point, and it feels like the movie, story-wise, looped to the beginning. This noise is not helped by the demented amateur techno soundtrack playing throughout the film. No matter the tone of the scene, if there is a tone that emerges in this audio-visual hellscape, the song never matches.
I will make the Earthlings join the dragon forever. With the mind control.
In the context that these suits were made for a fan film and were largely constructed by one person, they're pretty damn good. They're pretty goofy, but you can tell they were made lovingly. I can't give the same praise to the film's visual quality. It was shot on video on consumer-grade cameras from the 90s, and this normally wouldn't be a problem if the entire thing was shot during the day, but in a rather ambitious but foolish move, many scenes take place at night, rendering entire fight scenes incomprehensible. I didn't even know for sure if Jet Jaguar was even in this movie until I watched it again and found this shot, which gave him a close-up. He looks like Mac tonight. Disregarding the visual quality, one thing I will say about the cinematography is that you can tell Omar really improved his game by the time he made the Baggin short film. The blocking of the action scenes got more sophisticated. I just wish they didn't shoot it at night because I can't see a lot of it. I do like how the shorts featured in this movie seem to be the products of teenagers goofing around. It reminds me of that one YouTube video of the teenagers fighting in the parking lot doing a reenactment of Kingdom Hearts.
Don't hit the camera, man.
Dual wield!
Making fan films just to show your passion for a franchise is one thing, but when it's a feature-length movie and not a bite-sized short film, one that's being sold for real money through a niche film distributor, they're now subject to a new set of standards. Say what you will about other fan productions like Godzilla Battle Royale, but at least they're free. A symptom this film shares with that one is that it lacks the substance to justify an hour-long release. If this movie was still just a bunch of isolated fan films with their original audio, it would be much more endearing. But the ironic dub gets grating, the sound design started giving me migraines, and the endless incomprehensible fight scenes and bad editing killed my ironic enthusiasm for this movie pretty quickly. The joke wears thin after a while. I do not recommend paying for this unless you want to spring it on your friends as a joke. I will say it is amusing to own it and consider it a real Godzilla movie. I placed it between the 1998 movie and the first Millennium movie. I think it fits. It's like a missing link. I would like to see what these shorts looked like before they got shitposted into a feature-length movie. I don't know much about Omar personally, but he seems to be living his best life. He's currently selling dragon coloring books on Amazon and apparently making another movie with his dragon OCs. And you know what? Good for him. This movie apparently has a sequel made entirely in MS Paint. It comes on the Blu-ray, but I think I'll save it for another video.
Beef up! Beef up! Beef up! Hey! Beef up!
And with that, I would like to give a very special mention to my patrons. My $5 patrons are It's Godzilla, Big Odilo, An Actual Dimetrodon, Space Hunter M, CMG, Red Comet Harry, and Marpzilla. Thank you very much.
Beef up!